Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I'm Rob, and today I shall be attempting to, well, not restore, but I'm going to polish this Mercedes 230 SL. And I guess I've had, well, I can't even remember, at least, I want to say maybe 20 comments plus over the last year or two on, me just simply polishing and casting. And I've been promising to polish it, without any paint, just to see really how this comes out. Hopefully you watched my previous video with the Diora 2 and the Bone Shaker, and I polished them. It took a couple of hours, and then I went over with the Candy, and it looked so good. Please do check out that video if you haven't already. But again, down in the comments, let's see a polished car. So today, that's what we have. But I'm going to show some further details. Obviously, we don't have any of the paint today, so just some other bits and pieces that happen throughout the video that I skip sometimes, but today we show them. I've got my drill here, and I will be drilling down the centre of the posts. I'm just going to give one as an example today. And I do like to put a little bit of oil on the 1.6mm drill bit. Obviously the links to everything I use down in the description below. Now do take care. You may or may not see on my finger here, I kind of went through this finger. If you remember, and if you are a long-term subscriber, I managed to slip the drill bit and actually drill through my finger. Now sometimes I use my very handy vise, but this is quite a flat casting, and I feel very confident and comfortable without that. Just flat down on my bench here. Of course, keeping my fingers and thumbs out of the way, just in case I do slip. And then what I prefer to do is drill a little bit at a time, kind of inspect it, and then think, I need a little bit more. I'd rather just kind of take a little bit at a time, keep checking, and then once I'm comfortable knowing that, one, I'm not going to drill through the casting, but two, that I've drilled deep enough for my 3mm little screw. So like I say, I keep checking. Now I've seen people, Marty I know does this, but what he'll do is we'll kind of use a little bit of tape and gauge kind of how deep you want to drill. And of course that works for some. I guess like I say, I'm just comfortable now, having done 300 plus castings, to just do it this way. I then remove the flange. I don't add any lubrication at this stage. I sometimes find that if I lube up the 4mm to remove the flange, I don't know, sometimes it really catches hold of it and kind of digs in too hard. With the dry drill bit, it just, I don't know, it kind of, hard to describe, but certainly I prefer it this way. And then I would have, just with my thumb there, just checked to make sure that the flange is flush. And then, of course, to lubricate the piece with the little tap here. It's an M2 tap. Like I say, you don't need to really push this in hard. Just a nice firm twist. And then once you get, you kind of get to the end, you'll feel, you don't want to kind of overdo it, because then otherwise you'll pull out all the threads. And then, of course, before putting your tap back away, do clean up the end of it. And sometimes you need to clean the hole as well after. but that's just the one there, and I'll get to the second off camera. So here we are, both done, and trying to find a suitable place to not damage any of the casting or the wheels. We're going to be keeping the original wheels here today. You know, the idea is to always take away the flange but leave just enough meat so that, you know, the base can just snap back even without any screws. So the door's just coming away there, and then just trying to gently remove the little tab holding in the interior without breaking it. And you can see the remnants of the original windscreen on this car. Of course, we do have a replacement today. And with this car, the early Lesney ones, there's some later models that I have that have like a retaining spring and a slightly different interior piece. But this one, just the plastic interior holds these doors into place. We'll get the body of the casting plus the two doors into the foot-long hot dog jar covered in boiling water. In comes a tablespoon of caustic soda. Quite a strange reaction there. Normally, whenever I put my spoon in to clean it off, it of course fizzes up, but for whatever reason it didn't do that today. Very unusual, very unusual. Yeah, giving a little Swissy swish. Of course, there was quite a lot of paint already removed from this casting, naturally. So I knew this one wasn't going to take too long. The water there already turning very creamy, and I think you can see some of the paint is coming off. This is going to be a very quick turnaround. But whilst it was doing its thing, we'll throw just the interior into some water. A little bit stained, this water, from a previous clean-up job. I need to replace that. But certainly no problem for the interior here. Coming out looking as good as new. I do remove just a little. This would have had a tow hook, and I don't mind the fact that it's gone. I'll take a little bit further off, just so you don't see the red through the rear bumper. And this is the replacement windscreen today. I'll just give it a little bath as well, and I'll polish that up shortly. But the base here, I'm going to kind of take off the crust with my Dremel. And then eventually we get the base here nice and tidy. Leaving the camera just a little bit longer there than usual, just to see a bit more of the process. And the replacement windscreen here, it's an original from a donor car. Sometimes we have to sacrifice cars in order to restore others. but it was a later, less desirable one. So I don't mind taking the good windscreen from there. And thankfully, the windscreen there just flew out of my fingers, and it could have gone anywhere. And thankfully, it just hit me in the throat, but just gently sat in the collar of my jumper. So was able to retrieve it very quickly. But cleaning up as I go. We got the main body of the casting here, and then looking at both doors, we do have a 100% paint removal today. And actually I forgot, and I left the little remnant of windscreen underneath there, but it was quite a nice little experiment anyway, because you know it kind of I guess existed there. It lasted. There was nothing. I wondered whether it would perhaps melt or curl up, but no, it seemed to be fine. So perhaps I'll do another video, maybe an experimental video, to see what happens with the caustic soda. If anyone would like to see that, please do comment down below, and some ideas of perhaps what we could do. But anyway, this is the first little run with the wire brush. And you know, at this stage, of course, this is where I would usually go to paint, and this would be perfect. A nice little key for the undercoat, and then the final colour, and then clear coat. But like I say, today's a little bit different. There's no paint in today's video. There are many hours of sanding and polishing though. Of course, I've cut out a whole load of it. I'm sure you don't have hours to spare. You are busy people, right? But yeah, we'll hit it up with this fine sandpaper first. Not too sure what the kind of number is. My guess is going to be somewhere like maybe an 800, maybe even a 400. It's quite aggressive, but it does claim to be a fine. And then eventually, quite a long time later, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour, quite a lot of mess here, but eventually we have the whole casting and both doors kind of buffed out in the we're guessing the 800 grip, and then this is a 1200. It's almost, you kind of almost imagine that there's nothing there. And this is used, well used, and I was thinking maybe this is going to do nothing. But it really does buff out this casting, the 1200 grip. And again, probably about another half an hour maybe, and we'll go over this whole casting with the 1200. You can see the difference already. And now we go with the brown bar. As a little joke, although my son didn't fall for it, I said, "Do you want a piece of this chocolate?" And I offered it up, and I don't know, I'm not a very good liar, so I think I just burst out with laughing before my son could even have a little taste. Of course I wouldn't have allowed him to anyway, but still. That's what as dads we do, right? Have a little bit of fun. But yeah, one of the comments mentioned in the last video said about, you know, because it made an absolute mess, this polishing wheel that I've now got. And there was one comment that mentioned about perhaps building a surround or, you know, a coverage for it. And I thought, that's such a great idea. But I took kind of, I guess, one step further than that. You know, I've got the paint booth. It's already there. why not just use that, right? And actually, it did manage to contain probably 90% of all the little fluff. But I need to figure out how to... yeah, so this happens a couple of times. I need to figure out a way on how to perhaps attach it. And ultimately, I can just drill straight through the bottom, right? But it does have some kind of suction cups on the bottom. And on my desk, if I spray a little bit of water, it holds quite firm. But in the paint booth, where I guess the bottom of that is rough from different layers of paint, it's not getting a good enough suction. So, hey, your kind of advice or recommendations down in the comments below. I read them all, and I'll take any kind of advice or criticism or whatever, good or bad, you have to say. But yeah, looking at the instructions, it reads, to kind of hit the subject that you are polishing up at each angle. So I'll try and hit this up, I'll move the piece, and I'll hit it up from each side. But yeah, we're getting somewhere. And this takes quite a long time to get to this stage with that first cut. Probably about another half an hour or so. And yeah, it managed to tag me a few times here. Tried to polish my arm. It's a little bit sore actually. So yeah, I definitely have to figure out as I'm rubbing it now. I definitely have to figure out, a solution on making sure it does, stick fast as I polish. From this side, it's probably a little bit more loose, I guess you could say. But I'll show you a relatively short part of the polish process, and then I'll concentrate and get it in a position where I'm not going to kind of eject this thing across the room off camera to finalise the buffing process. And yeah, looking good. But anyway, about another 20 minutes, half an hour later, and we have that windscreen looking good, the original. And I was thinking about painting the interior, but I'm glad that I didn't. I buffed out the base here as well, and the wheels and the front bit. Of course, I haven't sanded this down. I didn't want to lose the details there, so it's it's clean, it's nice and shiny. But of course, compared to the main body of the casting, it's nothing. And of course, you could see the American flag there in the background. But as a little reminder of what we started with tonight, this is the result. So this is a kind of, a video. Okay, it doesn't have the paint, but this is a video which so many people have asked for. And it's not perfect. I think there's still perhaps some extra bits we can try and do. There are certain areas that are perhaps more polished than others. But again, if you have any tips or hints or advice, I'm all ears. Comment down below. But I think it looks pretty good. There's a little polished series. If there's any other castings you wish to see kind of receive the same treatment, let me know. But anyway, massive thanks to my patrons. Thanks again, guys. Keep safe, everybody. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and I'll see you soon.